Hi, this is Joe Rebello for Rebello's Kenpo Karate, and today we're going to go into our first of a series of instructional tapes in the art of American Filipino Arnis-Escrima-Kali, again popularly known as APEC. And what American Filipino Arnis-Escrima-Kali is really a work in progress. It's really not a complete system or style. What it really is a logical, analytical progression of the various Filipino arts and seeing where one art stops and another begins. Also seeing the overlaying and interlapping and cross-referencing materials of those various Filipino arts in a logical, sequential order. I've been involved in the Filipino martial arts since 1979, studying such diverse arts as Professor Remy Priest's Modern Arnis, Arnis Lanada, Arnis de Abanico Lapunti, Kali, Cerrada Escrima, and again numerous other systems as well, but those are the main systems that I've worked on and studied. And what I noticed was there were certain salient features that were missing from one system to another. Certain logical progressions that one art would have within it, and yet the others would not. It really is that logical progression and my study of Ed Parker's American Kenpo Karate that really brought me to the conclusion that there needed to be a systematic, logical, analytical progression in relationship to the various Filipino martial arts. Hence, the beginning of my study of these various Filipino arts and later the creation of what we now know as American Filipino Arnis-Escrima-Kali. The key ingredient here is the use of Ed Parker's theories, concepts, and principles in regards to the physical motion taught in the Filipino art. Assisting me in this videotape will be Mr. Chris Gonzalez and Mr. Michael Antunes. Going over some of the salient features of APEC and showing you how this particular system, style, or as we like to call it, a work in progress, functions. We'll be back in just a moment with the basic rudimentary principles, theories and concepts of American Filipino Arnis-Escrima-Kali. Now what we're going to be working on, the first important feature regarding any system is our stances. Now in stances, again, the stances are basically utilized from American Kenpo and other martial arts systems, but we'll just basically briefly review the various stances. The first stance is the attention stance. Your left foot meets your right, feet together, back straight, proper posture. Feet together, weight distribution is 50-50. The next stance from there is the natural stance. Stepping out your left foot shoulder width apart. Again, weight distribution is 50-50, toe-toe relationship. Our next stance from there is the training horse stance, or again, there's also going to be a fighting horse stance depending on the angle of execution. Stepping out with your left foot a little wider and shoulder width apart, bending your knees, stabilizing your base. Knees are bent forward, toes in, heels out, back straight. And up. Now there are many different variations on the basic fighting stance. We utilize, again, based on Mr. Parker's system, the neutral bow. Again, the neutral bow, you're going to step forward with your right foot, having a proper toe-heel relationship. And I'm going to shuffle myself back a little bit. Step forward with your right foot, gentlemen. Now again, you have proper toe-heel relationship, measuring straight across for a heel-knee relationship. Again, the difference is, one, the alive hand placed here, and the other hand, the stick loosely and relaxed on the shoulder. Now also, come up, natural step back, rather. Thank you, gentlemen. Also from here, there are also variations such as the 45-degree horse stance, and all that is literally what it says it is. It's a horse stance on a 45-degree angle. Other styles will use this. You'll notice the wide open center line here, but again, you'll see that different styles will utilize this. You see some styles in Hawaiian Kenpo use basically known as a Halfmoon Stance, which is nothing more than that original 45 horse with the front toe pointed straight ahead. And again, they will utilize circular footwork, etc. But we're not getting into footwork right now, we're just giving you some basic foundations. From here we have our two cat stances. There's a 90-degree cat stance and a 45-degree cat stance. They're both based on previous position. If I'm here in a neutral bow and I draw a cat, my rear foot's on a 45-degree angle, therefore a 45-degree cat stance. If I'm in a side or fighting horse stance and I draw a cat stance, my rear foot being on a 90-degree angle, hence the 90-degree cat stance. Now, those are some of the basic stances. Again, we also have from a side view here, the forward stance. Your front knee is bent, your rear leg is straight. Depending on the individual school you may study, you may point your front foot straight ahead, leave that center line open, or you may pivot your foot on a 45-degree angle to close the center line, allow the natural alignment of your knee to protect your groin and lower regions. Now again, those are some of the basic stances. Again, we'll elaborate on them later on as we progress through. But right now, I'd really like to get into striking systems. Now again, American, Filipino, Arnis-Escrima-Kali, we have several striking systems that we do utilize. And again, they're all based on many of the different Filipino martial arts. Now you may say to yourself, well, sir, why don't you just teach one striking system that covers them all? Because I want my students to be aware of the different individual arts as well as the overview of APEC. I want them to know the modern Arnis system, the Arnis-Lanada system, the Arnis-Abanico system, the Arnis-Escrima-Kali systems. I want them to be aware of these different influences. So they learn the various striking systems to see where some start and others end, and where some have movements that others do not. So at this point, what we're going to do is both Mr. Gonzalez and Mr. Antunes are going to step forward in a right neutral bow, place their stick on their shoulder with a live hand. Move. Now, at this point, we're going to go into 12 basic strikes that are taught. I'm going to move off to the side here off camera so we can discuss and elaborate upon these various strikes. Now, initially, all these strikes will be stop hit. Now, again, stop hit is a reference that Dan Inosanto referred to when he talked to Bruce Lee about the aspect of using a stop hit action in relationship to fencing. But here, what we're going to do instead, we're going to stop the hit like a thrusting action or hammering action to show the various paths of motion and freeze and control each given strike. Our base striking system in American Filipino Arnis-Escrima-Kali is Professor Remy Priestess's modern Arnis striking system. It's a good solid foundation in relationship to the Filipino arts, and it gives the students a solid base from which to work from. Here, Mr. Chris Gonzalez and Mr. Mike Antunes will be demonstrating the stop-hit sequence of the 12 basic strikes or striking angles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and back to guard position. Now, where do we differentiate from modern Arnis into APEC? Well, simply stated, we elaborate and we're more specific in relationship to the given angles of attack as opposed to individual strikes. The key ingredient regarding Filipino martial arts is not the fact that these are given strikes, but in reality they are given angles. So now, let's elaborate on those angles and specifically how those angles are utilized. Once again, 1 through 12. 1. Inward downward diagonal strike or angle. 2. Outward downward diagonal. 3. Inward horizontal, palm up. 4. Outward horizontal, palm down. 5. Underhand thrust, palm up. 6. Overhand thrust, palm out. 7. Overhand thrust, palm in. 8. Outward downward diagonal, low. 9. Inward downward diagonal, low. Palm up, as opposed to the previous action, which would be palm down. 10. Overhand thrust, high to the eye socket. 11. Overhand thrust, palm in, high to the eye socket. 12. Overhead inward strike and or angle.